This is a NewsBreak26 Special Report. I'm Vicki Hogarth. On Thursday, New Brunswick unveiled an ambitious municipal reform plan. Here to speak about it is the Minister of Local Government and Local Governance Reform, the Honourable Daniel Allain. Thank you for joining me today, Minister Allain.
Thank you, Vicki, for having us.
I'd love to talk specifically about how municipal reform will affect Southwest New Brunswick, but I'd love to just start off with, in general, what is happening for New Brunswickers who are just finding out? We're going down from 104 local governments, 236 service districts, to under 100 in total. Can you tell us a little bit about why, in your words, this is the right time for this and what we should expect?
Well, I think what New Brunswickers have been talking about for the last 25 years is we haven't moved forward on local governance reform. Many successive governments have been talking about it, but we never went forward. And I think Premier Higgs, I was appointed the Minister of Local Government and Local Government Reform, he said, we need to move forward. And I think that's what people, New Brunswickers, want also. It's a question that we've been studying for the last 25 years. The municipal associations have been great advocates to move forward on this reform. And I think we want to do this reform because of three reasons. Number one, there is a risk of doing nothing. And the risk is that we lose the services that we're accustomed today, because we all know there's a shortage of workers in all industries. And if we don't do this reform, not for this generation and the people living today, it's for the next generation. And again, I wish that my forefathers 25 years ago would have done this decision back then. Infrastructure is so important. And I think one of the best practices is in Charlotte County. Charlotte County, in the region of Charlotte, decided last year through the Regional Service Commission to put 2 cents to make sure on infrastructure, recreational infrastructure. Wow, you guys were leaders on that question. And actually, probably the other regions of New Brunswick, you'll show us the lead on how to work on regional infrastructure. And economic development reasons. Charlotte County has so much potential, but we have to build capacity among our entities, our new municipalities, and that's important. And that's why we're moving forward on reform. It's not for the people that are with us today, it's for the future generations and our kids and grandkids.
Obviously, there's a fear of taxes rising, specifically for people who live in LSDs right now when they're amalgamated. Is it a tiered approach? For instance, if you live in Bayside and you're being amalgamated into St. Andrews, what are you going to be paying that's different? Should you expect to see a rise in taxes?
No, there shouldn't be a rise in taxes. And it was definitely the number one concern in all the consultation process. And it's been a concern for the last 25 years. So if you look at our pillar on taxation, action point 4.1 and 4.2 addresses these concerns, and it's going to alleviate these fears. Our first action is that any new entity can have differential tax rates, variable tax rates under one governance structure. So that's important to know, that people that receive services today will repay the same thing when the new entity. And if you don't receive a service in one part of the entity or in one part of town, you won't be paying for that. You won't even paying for the debt. The debt will be linked to the people that are using that services or that debt. Regarding point number 2, 4.2, if there is some type of increase in taxation, there's going to be a phased approach. There's going to be no surprise. We'll have discussions during the transition, and we'll make sure that these increases are spread out for 5 years if they have to. We realize that people's number one concern is taxation, and people want to pay taxes for the services they receive, and we wholeheartedly agree with that.
From the perspective of, say, a town like St. Andrews, who is gaining more communities, is it financially feasible, do you think, for all communities to provide services to a larger area? Could we possibly run into issues where it doesn't make sense?
That's where the democratic deficit comes in. 30% of New Brunswickers did not have access or the ability to vote during municipal election time. 30%. So we're giving that power, that privilege to New Brunswickers to go out and vote. and they'll have a say on what services they want. Who says Fredericton should be always the boss? I had great meetings over the summer with Mayor Henderson. Geez, great meetings. Great meeting with the LSDs from Musquash to La Pro to Bayside to all in the Charlotte County. And people were wanting to collaborate. They want to go to the next step. So we have 7 new entities. There will be one big rural district of Dumbarton, the LSDs of Macadam, West Isles, and Whitehead Island. They'll still be in existence. However, they'll be a partner also. They'll have elected rural district councillors that will be duly elected through elections in Brunswick, and they'll have a say too. They'll have an elected official, and they'll sit on the Regional Service Commission board.
Okay, and so what will it mean for, I'll use St. Andrews as an example one more time. Will they have an election in this fall to have a representative from Bayside and from Shamcook as well? How will it work?
That's something that there's a transitionary process. We will be tabling our bill in the Legislative Assembly this December. We hope to get it passed by Christmas so we can take on 2022 by storm. There's going to be a transitionary period. There are your elected officials, our facilitators here at local government will sit down, we'll work on the new names for those entities by July 1st, 2022. We'll have new staff of those entities by the 1st of September, 2022. And we'll have a special general election by elections for November 2022. So it's aggressive. It's an aggressive timeline, but we cannot wait. And New Brunswickers want to move forward. By the 1st of January 2023, we'll have 7 new entities, plus the new rural district of Charlotte County and Charlotte Region. I can assure you that every time I go to Charlotte, we talk economic development, we talk infrastructure, and we talk about the fisheries and farming. So it's important that we move forward on those issues like climate change also. You know, MLA Kathy Bacchus and MLA Andrea Anderson Mason are 2 strong voices for the Charlotte area. I know Richard Ames has MLA Richard Ames has part of Charlotte too. Those are 3 strong voices for Charlotte region. I can assure you, there's not a day go by, they did defend and they make sure that their Charlotte County area is talked about.
One of the biggest changes for this area will be Entity 53. That's partly where St. George and Blacks Harbor are going to be amalgamated. Obviously, I'm sure you've heard feedback from this area about this, I'm sure already today. How will that work in terms of electing a new council? They will elect just a complete new council in November?
They'll elect a complete new council in November 2022. But St. George, Blacks Harbor, what we've seen with Blacks Harbor, with the rink and how they collaborated with the region, this is on the cusp of, this is a great entity to watch out in the coming years. If they can get this right, I'm confident with the leadership MLA Andrea Anderson Mason that we can move forward on this entity. You know, she talks about developing infrastructure. There's great things happening on climate change initiatives in that area also. There's the fisheries that we want to work on. So I just hope that we can get this collaboration. And we've seen the last 30 years, a lot of restructurings. You know, Edmundston, who was on the brink of bankruptcy in 1998, is probably one of the strongest communities today. Miramichi, Rothsay, Quispamsis, all in great financial positions. So that's why we're moving forward. And I have confidence in St. George, in Blacks Harbor, in the area. This is going to be a positive impact. And if it's taken the right way and we have the right approach, this is going to be great for the Charlotte region.
How are the lines drawn, the boundaries made, and is there any room for change at this point if a community decides, oh, maybe we'd be better suited somewhere else?
Well, on your second part of the question, we have to move forward. This is not, we've been talking about for 25 years. The status quo is not an option. We have a robust consultation process. People gave us ideas. They gave us their briefs. They sent us emails how they wanted to move forward. So this is our best plan. We use criterias like linguistic profiles, school catchment areas, high schools, catchment areas had a great was a great criteria. Natural borders, rivers, streams, sometimes transportation corridors, our service catchment areas. Where do we do business? Where do we go do our groceries? Where do we live? Where do I play hockey? Some regions, the hockey boundaries are important. So it's all these criteria that we use to come up, I think, with a sound and solid plan, not only for New Brunswick, but for the Charlotte region.
And how many major elections do you expect to have next November in terms of entire new council?
So there's 52 regional new entities restructurings, and with the 12 rural communities. So there's going to be lots of, it's a Super Bowl of politics in 2022. And we hope by giving them that leeway with the new general election timeline being May 2026, that we'll be in a great position for New Brunswick and the Charlotte County area with the new 7 entities and the new rural district councilors of Charlotte.
All right. Well, thank you for your time today, and I look forward to following this as it unfolds.
Thank you very much.
A news and public affairs production of CHCO-TV, New Brunswick's only source for independent community television.